All right. So introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Greg. I live in the Northeast,
And
and
what is your alias? What is your screen name that you
I'm one who studies on YouTube.
Okay. And how long have you been studying the Maya material?
Next month it'll be 10 years, nonstop.
Okay. What got you into studying the Maya material?
I've been just looking my whole life, just looking around at. I was always interested in astronomy, outer space, the universe. The meaning of life. What's out there? Is there life out there? Are we alone? Do you want to believe? X-Files, everything. I've been looking, and it took me 33 years until I found it.
Okay. So now that you've found it, what kind of changes has it made in your life, positive and/or negative?
Well, it kind of like took a burden off. This material goes a lot deeper than just UFOs. I think there's at least 70 or 80 books involved. I read quite a few of them. So one thing it does is it shows you, the real truth, the truth that we're all looking for, the truth kind of that's inside you, that's always been there. But it does it in a very detailed way. It goes into more detail than you can find on your own. So it really fills in the gaps of your knowledge. And what else? What else was I lost the question.
How has it changed you, and what are the positive and negative effects that you've noticed?
Well, I was always kind of a calm person. It goes into, it depends on the book. The books cover different topics. It talks about what happens after we die. That's a big mystery. The information talks about what other kind of life is out there, humans out there in other star systems, how they live, how they develop, what are their customs and practices, and it also fills in a lot of mysteries about this planet, what we're supposed to be doing here, what's coming in the future, what our true past is, past, present, and future, everything, all the mysteries you want to know, it's all in there.
What do you think is the most impactful thing for you?
The creation energy teachings is also known as the spiritual teachings. This is, I want to say, the opposite of religion. It's the spirituality within you, within every person, in our spirit form, in your soul, if you want to call it that. Universal love, how the universe works, how everything works. There's so much. There's so much. It covers every topic you could possibly be interested in.
Okay, so we were talking before we did the interview about whether or not these contact notes, this information, was meant for us to be preppers, or if it was meant for something else. What was your take on that?
There's a big theme about self-responsibility. It's each person's duty, whether we know it or not, to be self-responsible, to do the right thing, to treat others with kindness, do no harm, protect all life, including nature. We need to prepare for the worst. We're doing things that are setting us down the course of destruction. And one example is overpopulation. We're destroying nature at a rapid pace. There's now 9.34 billion people on Earth, plus 100 million or so every year. And I don't know if you notice it, but if you drive around and you're stuck in traffic, or you're driving by and you see forests clear cut for a shopping center, that's been going on for 200 years, and it's not stopping anytime soon. The population growth is not slowing down around the world. So we need to prep for energy crisis. We need to prep for weather. The hurricanes here will be getting stronger down south. The winter storms will be getting stronger up north. There will be more floods. There's more erosion. There's going to be food crises. Energy, oil will probably run out in 100 years of oil. So nuclear waste, any kind of pollution you can imagine. It blows all around the world. I want to find a little enclave in nature. I want to buy my own land up in the Northeast and just have 50 acres or so and live where I don't have to have any neighbors around me, and I can live off the land and be self-reliable and sustain myself mostly on my land and live in harmony with nature.
Okay, and you were talking about energy crisis. Can you go a little bit more into detail, not only about the energy crisis, but how one would go about preparing for that?
Sure. Well, there's some ways, simple ways, like maybe solar panels or generators that people can get to prepare for power outages on an individual level or on a household level. You can be prepared with supplies, food, water, the basic necessities that you cover on your channel and your videos. But also with energy, I'm talking on a macro scale, on a national scale, and a global scale. More people are transitioning to electric cars. Now, what's going to happen when every other person has an electric car? Well, electric rates are going to go through the roof, and electricity is going to be more than gasoline. So it's not going to really make economic sense to do it. When there's too many people, there's not enough resources, we're going to run out and there's going to be scarcity, right? So the simpler life that you live, the closer to nature, if you bike instead of drive, if you walk instead of drive, everyone can do their part. And this may sound odd to some people, but one of the best things you can do if you want to save the planet is to not have children, or have 1 or 2 or 3 kids, but don't have 5, 6, 7, or 8 kids, because people do that in different countries all over the world, and their country is an overpopulated mess. I've been to many countries. I've been to, at least 24 countries around the world, and I've seen 42 of 50 United States. I've been all over the world, so I've seen it myself. We have it pretty good in America. We have a pretty good standard of living. But what happens what if war comes to our doorstep, like is happening in Eastern Europe with Russia and Ukraine? Why are we getting involved again on the other side of the world, something that's not our business? It's not our fight. And what if the chickens come home to roost? We've already seen gas prices go up tremendously. I used to come down here to Florida from the Northeast, and gas would be way cheaper, and now it's like the same. So what happened? Why is gas so expensive now? Is that the government? Is that the president? Or is it something else going on? Solar panels, good. A lot of people do heat pumps now in the Northeast, and really the best thing on a macro scale is deep geothermal energy. There is an unlimited source of energy down towards the center of the Earth where it's hot in the core, and if we drill deep enough, we can tap those in many places of the world. It would take care of all of our energy needs without any pollution. Most people don't think about that. They say, well, this, well, that. They make excuses, but nuclear is not safe, and all the other things are fossil fuels. And I wish people would hope people live long enough to see my words come true, but it's probably really going to hit the fan in 50 to 100 or 200 years from now, and then we have a huge total collapse where billions of people will die. And it doesn't mean you can't start planning now.
Do you think it's that far out? Because,
no, it's happening.
With the world war that's coming right now.
It's happening now. It's happening now. It's been happening since the 1800s, okay? The ideal population, based on this information, okay, is no more than 1 billion people on Earth. And we're over 9.34 billion right now. So we're so many times over. It's hard to see it happening because it happens slowly, A shopping mall goes up, a housing complex goes in, But think about to when you were a kid, that the big trees come down. I don't know. It just happens so slowly, people can't see it, like the rising sea level. Well, people in Key West will see it, but, most people don't realize it. It happens very slowly. So that's the biggest problem that the climate change deniers have, is they don't see it happening, because it's a beautiful day right now, right? It's like 75, 80 degrees. It's sunny and nice breeze, and we have beautiful oak trees with Spanish moss here, and they don't see it because it's like the frog boiling in the pot of cold, in the cold water that's with the heat turning up.
Okay, so one of the big things that's on the news, other than war with Ukraine and Russia, is economics. And I know one of the things I talk about a lot is the Great Dispossession, of a prediction that Meyer talked about. Give us your thoughts on that and kind of your interpretation, since you've read all the contact notes.
It's starting with the microchip in your debit card. It's starting with biometrics on your driver's license. It's starting with facial recognitions. There was a interview I watched by an anonymous guy named Joe, and he said, on any given day, you're photographed 100 times without you realizing it, because you go into McDonald's or Wawa or the gas station or shopping, and there's cameras everywhere, and you're photographed all over the place. You're tracked, your cell phone GPS, you have apps on your phone. You can't escape the Wi-Fi, the EMF radiation, the radio waves. The things we can't see are everywhere. Even the pollution coming out of the car behind you. You can't see it or smell it, but it's there, And it all adds up. It's just little things that add up. The dispossession comes with the increase in the IRS workers. My buddy got harassed from the IRS this past year because he needed to prove his 3 children were real after they're 4 years old. And the new IRS workers, 2 different offices, sent him letters saying, you need to prove that you have these kids that you say you have, even though they've been born for several years and they've been paying taxes for several years. For them, it doesn't make sense. There's so much overreach, and they're picking your pockets. They came after me saying, you didn't pay taxes on unemployment. But they have all their records on you. And then I had to send them a check for this little couple $100. And then they said, okay, well, we got that. Here's your receipt. But now on your next taxes, you got to send a letter saying you did it already. It's like so redundant. There's so much government waste. Everything the government touches turns to crap. Everything. On the local scale, on the global scale, on the national scale. It's just, you can't trust anyone except you and maybe your family and close friends. So it would be advisable to just network with people like I'm doing. Just meet people who are like-minded and have a plan. Make connections, be prepared, have food sources, water, shelter, the basics. But also plan for the future, and don't rely on technology so much, because it's not always going to be around when you need it.
Okay, with everybody so reliant on technology, that's probably the hardest thing. I mean, we're doing this interview using technology. You're attached to your electronic leash at all times, having to constantly keep in charge. How do you live your life reducing technology?
Well, one thing to do is just go out in nature. Like you ride your bike or you hike. Can you navigate, from memory or the sun or from a compass or a map? The old ways. How did they do it 300 years ago, right? They didn't have cell phones, but they navigated, right? They navigated all over the country, and they were pretty good at it. I think just leave the cell phone at home and go for a walk every once in a while. Go for a hike. You don't always need it, unplug, turn off the Wi-Fi, turn off the computer for a day, unplug all your devices. We lose power in the Northeast if there's a storm, and that's okay. We start a fire, light some candles, whatever, I think the old ways, study the old ways of how they used to live, where they made their own clothes and candles and, homes. They built their own homes. How many of you have built your own home, Yeah, I'm not saying you have to, but just think about it. What if there's a solar flare or coronal mass ejection like there was a couple days ago? Knocks out maybe some airline services or communications. We're too technology dependent, and we may be fine, but people in different parts of the world are gonna have different problems to deal with.
Okay. And so you were also talking to me, and I just, since we're kind of in the middle of it, you had something that you wanted to give away to the subscribers. So talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Well, if you're interested in history before history that's taught in books, if you want to know what they don't teach you in school, I'm talking about the history of humans from other star systems visiting Earth. And you say, wait, well, there's no evidence of humans visiting Earth. Well, there is. They're in all the megalithic structures in South America, and the pyramids that were built 73,000 years ago, and Machu Picchu and Ollantaytambo and those giant things they can't build today with all of our technology. And this goes back more than 400,000 years ago. So let me just start with this. The universe is 46 trillion years old. There have been humans for trillions of years. They come and go. 389,000 years ago, a group came here of humans. They interbred with people on Earth in different places, and they created modern human races. And I tell this whole story in a book I put together from the contact reports. It's called "We Came from the Stars and Then from Mars," and you can find it in the link below, and you can download it for free. So if you want to read the history of the world, you'll learn more about anything on ancient aliens or anything that they ever teach you in school, because they don't know about it.
And what is your website address?
BillyMeyer.wordpress.com.
Okay, so you have a WordPress blog, and how often do you upload blogs there, or what do you use it for?
I use it for two things. I put little excerpts of the contact reports that cover popular topics like the Loch Ness Monster, or the age of the pyramids, or various health things. And I also use it for documents on like the downloads or ebooks page. I use it to post books and compilations and research reports about the case and other information. So you can just browse around. There's stuff about that virus thing that's been going around the past couple years that I can't mention. And I knew all that stuff was coming before it happened, because if you read the contact reports, you know the future, because it's telling us what's coming.
So based upon the contract reports, what you've read, what you've learned, what do the next 3 to 5 years look like?
There's going to be an escalation. Russia's going to lay the smackdown on the New World Order, the globalists. They've had enough. They've been surrounded. They've been encroached after being promised that NATO would never expand past like East Germany. And NATO has since expanded many, many times closer to Russia on their border. We have military bases surrounding them, their country. And the war in Ukraine started in 2014. It didn't start a couple years ago. It started with that central intelligence agency that meddles in everyone's business, and we installed a puppet there, and that's when the genocide massacre starting in eastern Ukraine. Ukraine is an S-hole, and I do not stand with Ukraine, and neither should you. It's not our fight. It's none of our business. Putin is killing the Nazis, which is a good thing, and he's going after the bad guys. It's wrong what Russia's doing, it's wrong what Ukraine's doing, but it's our job to remain neutral and not stick our nose in people's business. Russia's going to escalate. I hope it doesn't turn to nuclear weapons, but the contact reports are warning us and warning us and warning us. There could be nukes involved, so that's another thing you might have to prep for. You also don't want to live too close to a nuclear power plant. You might want some iodine pills just in case, and have a backup plan, an evacuation plan if you live near a nuclear power plant. You don't want to live near a military base, a power plant, anything like that. Any place that's might be attacked or suffer a catastrophic failure.
Though, what's funny is the more I look into this, the more I realize that our cities are used as shields for our military, and so a lot of these cities or the outskirts of these cities are going to, have to deal with some sort of conflict. I mean, in San Antonio, they're doing urban warfare drills, and they're doing them in Houston, and they're starting to do them all throughout the United States. And it's like they're using our cities as shields. So,
well, there's not a lot of good news for America. Like, according to the contact reports, we're the bad guys. And if you look at history, all of our incursions into South America and the Middle East, obviously, ask anyone who lives there, and we are the bad guys. So the world's going to gang up on us. China, the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and others. They're all going to come up with their own financial system. The petrodollar's going to go bye-bye. And then what's going to happen? The dollar is going to be worthless. So you may want to have other forms of wealth, like precious metals or something else that holds value. Think of just how they lived a long time ago. You want to have assets, maybe land, property. There's no more land being created. There's only less and less land available. So land is one of those things that, I've been looking to buy, so I can just have my own little slice and keep to myself. So, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, that was pretty. Sorry, I wasn't even thinking of the next question. Just with the precious metals, why Bridget's been saying something to me that she's being told get her precious metals and stuff like that, but she doesn't understand how that works. I mean, I kind of gave her a little bit of an idea. Like back in the day, gold coin was $20.65 and or just a $20 bill, and then the silver was just $1. So do you think that we're going to go back to that same system, or do you think it's going to be a lot more outrageous than what it is?
I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that everything's going to get worse. It's just there's going to be more inflation. There's going to be less resources. The government's going to be more and more screwed up. And what I was going to say before, from the contact reports is so we're talking about the Playar and contact reports. And this race of humans are very advanced, very peaceful, and they've been through it all. But they've overcome it. So the last time they had war was like 52,000 years ago, or 50,000 years ago, and they've had world peace ever since. They live on a planet similar to ours. There's no roads, there's no big cities. They have 500 million people. There's no pollution, there's no war, there's not even crime, okay? They don't even need police. They live a very, very long time. They have no diseases. I mean,
the perfect utopia.
Yes, as pretty much close as you can get. And they work for 2 hours a day, and they have no money. They don't need money. They can make whatever they want, in a replicator, or they grow meat in a lab, like their factories are underground. Like, it's just utopia, right?
Do you think this is part of like the natural evolution of the human being, and that that's where we will end up one day? Or do you think that
if we don't destroy our planet, I think we make it, because in 2,000 years they say some of us make it, and we go to another star system, and we go to another planet that's better than this one, because we're destroying this one. It's pretty sad that we're like hollowing out people don't realize this, and you wouldn't know if you wouldn't read the information, but we're hollowing out the planet through drilling, oil drilling. We're hollowing it out through fracking and mining. We're scraping the seabeds off for magnesium nodules, so we're mining the ocean. We're fishing out all the fish. You wouldn't believe it unless you kind of put all the pieces together. They say by 2050 there's not going to be any fish left in the sea. I mean, China has fishing fleets all over the world because they can't feed their people. So that just screams unsustainable to me, It's not sustainable. So if you can, just try and live a sustainable life. That's all we can do. When we die, we reincarnate according to this information. So we're going to have to go through this crap a couple more lifetimes, over and over and over and over. And it's really only going to get worse until about 800 or 1,000 years from now. And then we kind of figure out, that Billy Meyer guy 1,000 years ago, he was right because we have all this information. It all came true. Now we're going to start really paying attention, and everyone is going to pay attention on a global scale slowly. And then in 2,000 years, things like settle down and our planet, we leave, or we reduce the population to a natural level.
Yeah, I know he's talked about space travel and it will result in cannibalism like the first few times we try it and stuff like that. So this whole thing about Elon Musk, because I know Michael Horn says a lot about Elon Musk as far as like he's loved now, but he's going to be hated in the future. What exactly does that mean?
There's several things. I have a quote I could pull up on my phone, but Elon Musk said the biggest population is there's not enough people, because he's thinking in terms of labor. Okay, so he's building Optimus, the robot, the humanoid robot, to take jobs away from you and me and our family. Well, Elon Musk is stupid for several reasons. Number one, he doesn't know anything about deep geothermal. He only thinks solar. Solar is the answer, but it's not the ultimate answer because it doesn't work at night. Geothermal works 24 hours a day. The other thing is he thinks there's not enough people on the planet. If there weren't so many people, we wouldn't need solar panels. We would already have enough energy. We would have enough fuel. There's too many people. He doesn't realize that. He thinks the exact opposite because he's I don't know. He's not as smart as everyone thinks. He may be a deep state puppet. He may be a asset of the white hat military. He's using his Starlink satellites first, for Ukraine, and then they took it back, saying, we can't. The Ukrainian army was using our Starlink satellites for weapons. Oops, I didn't know. And then he rescinded that capability. He doesn't really think things through, and Billy Meyer and the Planet have warned multiple times that Elon Musk's Starlink satellites are not what you think. They're already co-opted by the military, so they're used for military purposes. That was an official announcement a couple months ago. And it's going to all come crashing down. I don't know what they say, but it's going to end badly for Starlink satellites. So don't rely on that too much. I know it's good for people. I've seen people out in the country who get internet access, but don't worship Elon as your God, Lord and Savior. There was one other thing about Elon Musk. He wants to go to Mars. Okay, yeah, we're going to go back to Mars. Yes, there were humans on Mars. There's bases underground. Best thing we could do is refurbish those old bases. Like my book, we came from the stars and then from Mars. But he's so naive. The Pleiadians think he's so stupid because, they're like, you're not even close to living on Mars, buddy. There's the radiation and there's not enough gravity, and your brain swells when you're in space without gravity. You basically go crazy. I have a post on BillyMeyer.wordpress about time. BillyMeyer.wordpress.com. It's called Find Your Safe Space, and they talk about what happens to your body when you are up in space. Even for more than 24 hours, your brain and your body start deteriorating. So we're really naive about space travel. It's going to be hundreds of years. I mean, we may go, and you can't live there. You can't live on Mars. Okay. Not anytime soon.
Last question, and then I'm going to give you open mic to say whatever you want. But Meyer keeps warning about AI. Could you talk to us a little bit more in detail about that?
Well, going back to Elon Musk and AI, he's programming his Teslas to recognize objects and navigate the road faster than a human. Now, he's gone pretty far. A car can pretty much drive itself, but not in all situations. So then they're going to put that in the Optimus robot, which is the humanoid robot that they're building. And then, of course, anything that Elon Musk does is going to be co-opted by the government, and that's going to be put in drones and planes and warships and robots with guns on them. And you don't want that, because that's going to be used against you, the people, the American people. You think the government loves you and protects you and gives you freedom. We're not free anymore. We're tracked everywhere. We're just numbers in a database. We're just assets to them. The government is bankrupt. The government doesn't care. The military and police will turn on you if they're given the order, because they don't think for themselves. They're just trained killers, and they will do whatever their commanding officer tells them to, whether it's right or wrong. Just like we've destroyed other countries and other innocent people all over the world. So I do like this country. I want everyone to live peacefully and freedom, but I don't know when the AI is going to turn on us. It's going to happen in the future. There's going to be like cyborg robots. There's going to be like half man, half pig soldiers that we create. We're going to have space stations. We're going to have Space Force, yes. And we're going to be traveling to other parts of the solar system. But we're not going to leave the solar system anytime soon.
Okay. And then finally, last question. If this is open mic where you can say anything that you need to, that you feel was left out that should be said. So go for it. What do you got to close out with?
Billy Meyer knows the future. He's written about it since he was a little boy. And you can read those letters on my website, billymeyer.wordpress.com. It's a little disturbing, but I think it's better that you know the truth rather than not. Now, it's going to take everyone some time to decide for themselves. I'm not trying to convince anyone. This is just my personal opinion and my experience, but I've determined it to be true after about a year of reading everything. And again, I'm 10 years in. I've met Billy, and I think he's the most important person in the world, and he publishes the most important information on the world. You can read his contact reports for free on They Fly blog or Future of Mankind. But this is not about aliens. This is about human life. This is about survival. This is about self-reliability, self-responsibility, living in harmony with nature. If you want to survive as a human, we need to know how to do that in a sustainable way. This country is in a steep downward trajectory. I don't know if you've realized it. It depends maybe how old you are. I think maybe the older you are, the more you'd realize it. There are not good things coming for America. I don't want to be doom and gloom. I don't think it's all going to happen right away, but we are escalating the war with Ukraine. It's none of our business. We pretty much started it in the first place because we've always wanted to invade Russia for its natural resources. All I can do is say, think for yourself, study the information that I provide for free, and be kind to one another. Think about the future, and when we die, we come back and do it all over again. So hopefully we're a little smarter in the next life. So it's a long process. Don't be afraid, but be smart. Be smart. And I think you have this channel to help people be smart and help people survive and get by with whatever resources and means they can. And that's a good thing, because if people were more self-aware and self-conscious and just kind of thought about the future a little bit, or the past, present, and future, and like where we are and where we're going, that's why I put the book together, We Came from the Stars and Then from Mars, because the whole point of it is, if we don't know where we came from, how can we know where we're going?
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, and say bye to everyone.
Bye, guys. Good luck.